Megacities. The world's first cities, built 6,000 years ago, were really little more than villages with stone walls around them and roads to connect them with regional resources. Until late in the 19th century, only 1 person in 10 lived in cities. But in the 21st century, more than half the world's population will live in urban areas. Many of these people will make their homes in megacities with populations greater than 10 million. Can these 20 or so megacities provide basic human needs for so many people of so many diverse cultures? That's what this program series is about.
We have no experience on how to feed this many people, remove their waste, transport them around the city, educate their kids, create jobs for them. And this is the challenge, and this is why we're seeking innovations, because the past solutions have tended to fail us. The vision that Megacities has of the future city of the 21st century is a city that's socially just, ecologically sustainable, economically vital, culturally sensitive, and really politically participatory and democratic.
Does a megacity such as Los Angeles fit this description? Many people would say no, that LA is currently a city in crisis. In recent years, the world watched as this huge megacity was the epicenter of earthquakes, civil unrest, and fires. LA has evolved into a multicultural city with a new majority population, and out of necessity, it has become a laboratory for social and environmental experimentation. Working with the Los Angeles Megacities project, many community leaders in LA have begun transferring solutions for alleviating poverty, increasing democracy, empowering women, and sustaining the environment. Janice Perlman and coordinators in each of the project's 18 megacities are quickly converting inspiration into reality.
My own interest in megacities started back in the 60s when I was a young anthropology student living in the fishing villages of the northeast of Brazil, and traced the young people to the big cities, ended up living for a year and a half in Brazil's favelas, and found out that the energy and creativity of these poor people and their brilliance in problem solving really needed to be documented and shown to the world.
In Los Angeles, the rapidly changing mix of cultures presents huge challenges to social service providers, educators, planners, and government officials.
Changing demographics is probably going to be one of the most interesting challenges that both government, private sector, and community-based organizations will have to address. To give you an example of the significance of this, in Los Angeles County, where there are 89 incorporated cities, in 1970, there were 4 cities whose residential base was comprised of a majority of minority people. By 1990, there are 42 cities in Los Angeles County where this minority majority exists. And by the year 2000, we project that that will be about 60 or perhaps 65 cities.
The ability for the base of our economy to pay for the services it needs is deteriorating. But if you're Anglo in the city of LA, you make $22,000. If you're African American, you're making $16,000 per capita. And if you're Asian, you're making $14,000. But if you're Latino, you're making $7,100. And that's 40% of the city's population versus African American 16%, 33% Anglo. But as a city, that's 45% of the county median. So Los Angeles is becoming a big slum, a big ghetto, a big barrio.
One of the high schools here has over 80 languages spoken in that high school. That has tremendous implications for simply how we view what an American is, how we view what culture is, and how we view what's desirable and what's not desirable. And that's creating tremendous tensions and conflicts at the moment at the local level in Los Angeles, increasingly at the state level, and in a few years we will see that as a national issue.
Things are changing very quickly in the megacity of Los Angeles. For example, just in the past 5 years, 300,000 jobs have been lost. Because the city's conventional service delivery systems are overburdened, grassroots leaders are stepping in to help rebuild their own neighborhoods.
Make more effective the continuation and delivery of education into the homes of children.
We have come there as facilitators, really inspiring families to sort of firing their imagination to dream for a better future for their community, and that now we have moved to the level that they see themselves as the architects of their own destiny. We have been able to set the stage, if you will, where people can come and feel respected, find their own sense of dignity, because they don't come and get a handout, but they come and get a hands up. And where we have reciprocity in terms of the exchange of what we give to each other, and where the leader sees the role in getting out of the way so that the customers find their own sense of power and they find their own voice so they can articulate their own needs for themselves.
They came to us and they said, what can we do together? And so what we wanted to do, again, is try to figure out how to get other people involved.
Throughout the Los Angeles metro area, community leaders are precisely defining their needs and figuring out the best strategy for supplying them. They're discovering that the services provided by governments and schools are often imprecise, partly because things are changing so rapidly. In the town of El Monte, citizens challenge the priorities established by government-funded programs.
That was a need, yes. They needed vaccines, but there was greater need than that. You know, they needed transportation, housing, they needed schooling, education, they needed jobs, and they needed a lot more things that was related to health. But the agencies or the government were not addressing those issues. They were only addressing what we call a surfacey type issue.
Volunteers of the grassroots El Monte Health Promotion Council took a donated mobile home out into the community to provide integrated services, including preventive medicine such as pap smears and mammograms, as well as information about jobs, housing, and other needs.
What I invite you to do as a team is have our ideas as to how we're going to move forward when those dynamics arise.
The Community Impact Team in Van Nuys is a bold and very successful experiment in which local government agencies are carefully listening to what grassroots community leaders have to say. Los Angeles police officer Steve Margolis, one of the team's leaders, uses a total quality approach to identify community needs.
Traditionally, what's happened is the service provider says, this is what we do, and this is how we do it, and this is the frequency we do it. And you are going to be a recipient to that community, those services. What our attempt is to turn around that relationship so that we can understand what the needs are before we start building processes in place to service those needs. Now, this is only part of it. You look at demographics. You look at the structure. How is the community structured through building and safety? You look at it through the crime statistics. You look at it through perhaps the narcotics activity. You look at it through the activity of demands for social service, the calls for services that have gone out there. And that way, what we try to do is create in our minds a picture as to start the process. Now, this picture might change as we get better and better quality of information that comes in. A lot of that's fostering trust with the community to open up to us. But if we don't do that at the front end, we end up trapping ourselves into our own preconceptions as to what services you need as a customer.
One of the team's most effective projects is on Blythe Street, which until recently was under siege by gang activity.
Basically, the gangs owned it, they took over, there was a lot of poverty, a lot of intimidation, and just a lot of social conditions that were perpetuating no change and really keeping the revitalization from happening.
It was just chaos, totally chaos. We had to stay in our homes. There wasn't any way for us to communicate among each other because we were just locked in. As soon as things started changing, we have been coming out of our homes and actually finding out what's out there. And what's out there is just great for us. We just have to keep fighting and communicate with each other about the services.
The Community Impact Team's approach supplies user-friendly services, government with a human face.
Police officers will go to me all the time and they say, you know what, Leo, God, I really need building and safety here. I really need street maintenance. I really need county health. I really need some social service agencies here to help this neighborhood out. I can't do everything, and the police can't do everything, nor can building and safety or the other entities, but working together they can do a lot because they enhance their resource, and it's focused, and it makes sense rather than just doing government by piecemeal.
By approaching it right, by looking at it as a system, by taking a team approach, enrolling people both in the community and public and private sector into this process, that you can make a difference. You can reduce gang violence, we've done that. You can reduce the drug market, we've done that. You can reduce the demand for police services, especially in crisis, we've done that. We've put the kids into recreational programs where they've had no other alternative other than the gangs before this. We've given them mentoring programs where we bring in leaders of the community and mentor them as to how leadership should be for them or could be for them. We've showed that government can listen to the community.
A lot of people, nobody used to live here. A lot of people were just afraid and everything. All the apartments were, it looked horrible. Blythe Street was the ugliest street here in Los Angeles. It was ugly, you know, but now it's bad. I used to be scared all night. I couldn't sleep of the shooting and everything, but now everything is coming with control and everything is fine.
The Casa Loma housing project provides much more than a place to stay. The goal of the community nonprofit group New Economics for Women was to provide affordable, secure housing in an area with one of the city's highest crime rates.
New Economics for Women, which is a nonprofit developer, was formed back in 1985 and was formed by a group of Latinas concerned about the economic needs of single-parent families. And they went about doing extensive research on the economic needs of single-parent families and put together a group of experts knowledgeable in affordable housing and financing of affordable housing, and were able to bring a group of people together that were able to pursue the funding of Casa Loma, in particular Esther Valadez, who has 18 years of experience in building affordable housing. The whole concept behind Casa Loma is that it's customer driven. So in the design element, we had a community design group meet at least 5 times to help design the interiors and as well as the exteriors of Casa Loma. Case in point is that we had the #1 issue here in the community was security. So we designed Casa Loma with 1 entrance into the building and 1 garage entrance. Also, we have 24-hour security so that the women here living at Casa Loma feel very safe and feel that their children do not need to be out in the street, and that's why we designed Casa Loma with a youth courtyard so their children have a safe place to play. In terms of the social services that we offer at Casa Loma, we had focus groups with women in the community, and so we got to hear from them directly what type of social services and support networks they need to have to continue on with their education, go through a job training program, and become more self-sufficient.
With the strong support of the community, Casa Loma is restoring dignity, respect, and a sense of hope to its residents. Organized and implemented by women, it's a perfect example of one of the Megacities project's targets, the empowerment of women.
2 obstacles that New had to overcome in building Casa Loma is that we were a new organization and that we were run by women. And so it was a hard sell to convince funders to fund an $18 million project when you had no track record of building affordable housing. So what we had to do was to show that this is something that the community wanted and needed. And the concept behind you, its vision and its principle in terms of the design was constantly reinforced whenever we made a presentation to our funders. The Latino leaders in City Hall were very helpful, and they believed in us and helped us in the process of funding Casa Loma.
At Excel Apartments in South Central Los Angeles, an experiment is underway that integrates affordable housing with education.
We need to go back to looking at the needs of the children, which have changed today because as far as their social development and values and self-esteem, those aren't, in most cases, met in the home. And that's something that has fallen, a burden that has fallen on the teachers in the schools. And obviously, it takes more to meet those needs than was done 30 years ago. However, our schools still operate like they did some time ago.
Students come to a tutoring center right in the apartment complex, usually several times a week, for personalized education.
What we're trying to accomplish at Excel is to really bring parents into the program and train them or give them the tools necessary to have a positive influence and effect over their children and their education, and also so that the children in turn will have this involvement with their children. We look at the Excel program as something that can have a positive effect on children, making them feel that they are responsible and that they are important, and involving many elements of the community, public and private, to achieve this goal.
Praise the Lord, we're the Kingdom Kids. Our light shines and it won't be hid. We're like a city that's high on a hill. We're praising God and we won't be still. So listen up to what we've got to say. It's time for you to start giving God the praise. Come on.
Another grassroots group that integrates activities right into the living unit is a children's chorus led by musician Crystal Davis.
I am a singer myself, and having my own children, family was telling me, well, you have to spend time with these kids. You know, you can't be running out trying to get your own career. So I said, well, what could I do, you know, to continue my career but include my kids? So it was like, well, put this kids group together, and that's what we did. And it was for actually a one-time performance. And it just kind of, you know, got the kids excited. So the kids began coming to my door. When are we going to practice again? You know, when are we going to do that again? And I said, wow, you know, they really liked it. So I started working with about maybe 20 of the kids right here in this building. So when I went to this meeting, I got up to explain who I was, and a couple of ladies just kind of like jumped on me because it's like, we need what you're doing. You know, we need somebody to teach our kids. And that particular project that we're talking about was the LA's Best after school program. So their executive director there had let me know, well, we can help you expand, you know, your program, what you're doing, because I am interested in going to other housing, you know, complexes much like this one, where there's a lot of kids, they have nothing to do, so we can come in and, you know, give them some good songs and get them going and get their minds in a better direction. With the values that the Kingdom Kids, you know, has to offer, it can really begin to transform a lot of lives, and we want to catch them at that 5-, 6-year-old level. So by the time they get to be 8, 9, 10, 11, they have some, you know, good feelings about themselves, or, you know, they have good thoughts about their neighbor. They won't feel, you know, jealous or anything like that, you know, to come in and make problems, I would say, for themselves as well as others. So we look at the Kingdom Kids as a saving factor.
It's time for you to start giving God the praise.
The Puente Learning Center began on a small bench in a schoolyard. Sister Jenny Lechtenberg volunteered to help tutor kids while she was on a sabbatical. The program ultimately grew to a thriving center of hope and pride with 1,400 students of all generations coming through every day.
I was so struck with the fact that with every child that was having a learning difficulty, the parent was having difficulty with either the language or the basic skills. And so from that point, I decided that I better do some education of the adult in order to support the education of the children. There are many offshoots of adults not knowing the language or not having basic skills, and one that I can think of in particular that I've been very concerned with is in our communities where adults have to keep their own children out of school for a day or 2 days in order to accompany them to the doctor to translate or to the bank because the adult can't do the figuring that they have to do. And so what happens is the child doesn't only miss a day of school, but the child is then privy to adult information and adult problems. And so when the child comes back to school, they're not ready to study. They've got this baggage. They've got to worry, is my mother going to complete her pregnancy? Are we going to be evicted from our house because we can't pay the rent? And so there are many...
Puente is Spanish for bridge, and in this case, it's a very appropriate name.
I want to say that I've been successful since I came to this school, because when I came, I didn't know any English at all, not at all in Spanish. And now I got a job, and I even changed my jobs because I found a better one.
I have 3 girls, and I'm setting an example. So whatever I learn for the day, I take it home and I introduce it to my children.
In my human angel. Because she started the school, I love it.
We offer a program that is very productive. It's productive for the small children, for the youth, and for the adults. We have demonstrated that through our programs we can put people into the job market. And so there is a real feeling at Puente that education is for everyone. It's not a penance that only children have to go to a school all day long, but that everyone is there to help themselves and to help themselves to better act in their communities, to participate in their communities, and to participate in their family life. Each one of our students at Puente is conversant with a computer. Each student is put on a computer the minute they come in. Take our students who are illiterate in Spanish. They walk in, they're put on a touch typing program where the graphics from the computer actually teaches the skill. And so that our adults are offered not only the language usage, but also are given a marketable skill as they are learning the English language.
Are you free tomorrow to help me? No, I'm sorry. I can't. I have to work tomorrow. Tomorrow?
What's that say?
One of the main reasons for the success of Puente is the effective fundraising skills of Jenny Lechtenberg and her colleagues.
Several large companies have given us donations. We've gone back to those companies and said, how can we now help your company? In 2 of those, we educated some of their employees by teaching them English. In another company, we set up a 10-week program for basic skills for their employees. So instead of always being a program that has your hand out, we try to give back to those companies or foundations that have funded us. The success that Puente has enjoyed is indicated in both small and large ways. Some of the small ways are that we have never had graffiti in our building. A very important demonstration is that in the last 3 years we've had over 100 high school students in the program each year, and during that time not one high school student has dropped out of high school. Our dropout rate in the area is about 47%. The other indication is that corporations and foundations are very willing to fund our program.
The primary question that leaders at the Vaughn Family Center are asking is, how can we create an environment that eliminates outside barriers to learning?
We have tremendous issues with violence, people living in dwellings, chicken coops or garages or multi-family dwellings in a single room, and tremendous poverty, income perhaps $12,000 or under. What's unique about the Vaughn Family Center is that it's an idea that arose from the community itself. And some of the unique features is that it's customer driven, so that every program that we offer it's in response to the community requesting that. Parents are involved in the everyday running of the center, if you will, from designing the various programs to how we implement them and run the programs. You will see parents actively participating in the classroom with their children. We have programs in which the children don't have active parents, but other parents become responsible to help them. For example, mathematics or science classes. And you see classes where parents are actually participating in learning mathematics or learning about science, so they in turn can work with the children. We will take some of our community people that have abilities to sew, for example, and they can create bridal gowns, quinceañera dresses, or some of our parents, some of our fathers, for example, that know how to build furniture. So we're helping them set up their own businesses. We encourage parents to go to school not only by providing classes there, but providing opportunities. So we have linkages and relationships with the Community Junior College, and we now started a linkage with the Cal State Northridge. We're going to have 4 of our parents that are graduating in December from the junior college, and these are parents that receive a 3rd grade education in their country of origin, and within 1 year they jump 6 grades, you know, to the point that they will be graduating from the college. 3 years ago, a new school principal came on board, a school principal that is a risk taker, a tremendous innovative and inspiring leader. And she set the whole ball in motion, and that we could do something to change.
What we are doing is definitely turn the school into a community learning center. That means the door's wide open. That means the school is a hub for the neighborhood, for the local businesses, and for the entire community.
By partnering with the business leaders in the community and making them equally responsible, so that when I move away, this project continues. And it's not like we came and set up a tent and then we moved away, but it's community owned and community sustained.
What's the common theme in the projects we've seen? Innovators have realized that you can't just fix one piece of a problem because each piece contains seeds for the whole problem. Unless a problem is looked at holistically, it will keep coming back like weeds in a vacant lot. To be successful, the leaders of LA's new majority have to look at problems from a whole systems perspective, and they have to work cross-culturally, building bridges between people.
Conflict resolution is one of the skills that we teach in our program, and part of that training is just effective communication, understanding the communication styles of other people and putting yourself in a place where you're listening to the underlying interests of those other groups or people that you're in conflict with, so that you're not coming head to head on different positions, but that you're finding common ground by exploring the different interests that you may share. One of the innovations of the program is that it's a partnership between an Asian Pacific American organization, an African American organization, and a Latino organization coming together specifically to impact interethnic relations in our community.
Let's look at one last project that illustrates that when community groups work together, they multiply their effectiveness. The Coalition of Neighborhood Developers includes more than 50 different nonprofit groups that have been empowered by local governments to help comprehensively reshape and rebuild Los Angeles. One of CND's efforts involves the Dunbar Hotel, once frequented by famous musicians such as Duke Ellington and Billie Holiday.
Our strategy here at the Dunbar Economic Development Corporation is to use history as a leverage to actually revitalize the community. So we're starting with the Central Avenue community and working on housing, economic development opportunities, and community development, which includes social services. Well, the Dunbar will serve as a center, and development will grow out of that center.
What's taking place in the Laboratory of Los Angeles will be valuable not only to the city itself, but other megacities worldwide. The Los Angeles Megacities project has already identified over 60 innovative leaders willing to share their solutions with others. In the process, citizens of Los Angeles are becoming the architects of their own destiny and are helping make megacities more sustainable places to live. To get involved with the Megacities project, contact the Megacities office at 213-661-2094.